What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 My Team Career Mode episode. Today, we're in Saudi Arabia for the Jeddah Grand Prix. I forget the full name of the circuit, but this is round 2 of season 2, and the Budo Andretti team, with myself and teammate Pierre Gasly, hopefully going to look for a decent weekend. We do have the strongest engine in the field, but running down into turn 1, braking about the 125 meter mark, tip it in, mount the curbs as much as you can, and then focus on a good exit here for a very short run with a bit of wheel spin for us this time. And then this very tricky, sort of more well, not really technical, but high speed, high risk, high reward. Get as close to the barriers as you dare. Try and tip the car in nicely for this corner to then hook up for this bit of a straight down to the first hairpin of the circuit, which is a nice, pretty fast hairpin, I would say. It's quite wide. It widens on exit, but just be careful with the back end as the banking slips away from you. And now, for pretty much just back-to-back DRS zones here. A little bit of a touch of the wall there with our front right wheel, which didn't seem to do any damage. We don't have wing damage, at least it didn't pop up on our MFD. We're just going to open up the DRS here, get the most out of this high-speed chicane, putting the power down as early as you can, and then just, straighten the wheel, put the foot to the floor, use your ERS, use your DRS, long run down into the final corner. Very famous for the Max Verstappen incident in qualifying all those years ago. I say all those years ago, feels like yesterday. But very short run up to the line here after opening the DRS for a 1:29.010, which is the fastest lap in Q1, and an even faster lap will happen if you hit the subscribe button. Speaking of fast laps, here's our first run in Q2, again braking around the 125 meter board there. Nice curb mounting on the first corner. We've run out a little bit wider than our previous lap, but no wheel spin this time to affect us on this little run up to the fast cornering, kind of twisty section of sector 1, and maybe not the best run through there as we go a little bit deep onto those curbs, but actually a pretty tidy lap so far, I would say. 33.0 for sector 1 as we tip the car in, braking down to 4th gear, really putting the power down as we're losing the back end, and we lose our front left in Q2. Almost a mirror image of round 1 of last week's episode, where we hit possibly the hardest bollard known to man. And we're going to run straight into the race because we can't do any more qualifying today around this amazing circuit. Obviously it's a night race for us here, as the temperatures during the day are just far too hot really to run Formula 1 cars for a decent length of time. But let's go down to the track view itself. 27 turns, 6.1 kilometers or 3.8 miles of track with 3 DRS zones, and it's relatively flat actually, so we can run the cars really nice and low, get the most out of our setup, and obviously the downforce that's generated by the underfloor of the car. But let's find out how the rest of the qualifying went as we went and cried in our dressing room. Fernando Alonso taking pole position, followed very closely by Charles Leclerc, just almost 2 tenths behind the Spanish Aston Martin driver. Max Verstappen in 3rd, Sainz 4th, Norris 5th, followed by Russell, Perez, Stroll, Piastri, Hamilton in P10, then Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo and Alexander Albon. Zhou in 15th, followed by us out in Q2 due to that crash in 16th. Kevin Magnussen and our teammate Pierre Gasly follow that, and Hauger, Hulkenberg, Pourchaire and Sargent to round out the rest of the grid. Now, it's a pretty easy one stop here. I say pretty easy, it's a soft medium. Whichever way you go, soft medium, medium soft. We're going to go soft medium and put plenty of fuel in the car this time. We'll be very happy to know, because all the lights are on. Now they're out. And a very, very short hold there for us. We get a little bit bogged down at the start of phase 2 of the start, but we're going to try and send it down the inside of Magnussen, but not quite as he's wiggling all over the shop next to Yuki Tsunoda. We're going to hold it around the outside and just sit as close to that Haas as physically possible. We do get the jump on Alex Albon, but we're just kind of holding position for now as we go down the inside of Zhou. I think there's a couple of cars 2 by 2 up ahead of us, so that's caused a bit of a slowdown through this sector, as you can just see here, how close we get to this little bit of a pack here. But I don't want to lose touch with the top 10. That is ultimately our target, right? We almost walked away with the podium as we go down the inside, and there's actually contact with the rear end of Yuki Tsunoda. Luckily, no damage, surprisingly enough. I think we just slammed on the brakes and just gave Yuki's car a little bit of a kiss with our front wing. So very, very lucky there. To say that we, you know, touched a bollard slightly in Bahrain and it ripped our wheel off, that was not any more damage on our car, especially at the start of the race. We really don't want to have to make another pit stop around here because we're just going to lose all the positions in the world. But so far, lap 1, pretty good start, up 2 positions, and we're going to go around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. Maybe we're going a little bit deep, maybe looking for a better bit of traction on exit as we go down into turn 1. Yuki's going very, very defensive at the moment. He really doesn't want us to get past, and he's absolutely being as aggressive as you can be and just swerving right in front of us there. That was, yeah, I have no idea what Yuki was trying to do, but maybe he was trying to think about getting back to the racing line and just maybe didn't see us there. Maybe he just expected us to be more tucked under his rear wing. But we get the move done, and now we can focus on his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, which is an interesting developing team actually. The Visa Cash App RB running close to the top 10. We're going to look to down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. We give him a taste of his own medicine. Daniel Ricciardo famous for his late lunges and late dive bombs into corners just like that one. And this time we do it back to him, as now we have Esteban Ocon in our sights. Now, there's a couple of drivers in the top 10, I think, on mediums, and even potentially a couple behind us. It was a rare thing to see someone on mediums in this race, but now we're going to go to the inside and just sneak in between Esteban Ocon and the wall there as we set a purple sector 2. We are absolutely flying at the first part of this race, potentially due to our soft tyres, potentially due to our engine as well, but the aero is really not good on our car, especially compared to the Alpine, it seems, who just behind us was wanting to make a move, but we kind of force him to back out of that option, as now we're thoroughly latched onto the rear of this McLaren up ahead, and I believe this goes all the way to 3rd position here. There is an Aston Martin, probably Fernando Alonso. Yeah, it is Fernando Alonso up in the front running positions, and then actually it looks like there's maybe a Ferrari of, I'm not sure exactly, it must be Leclerc up there in 2nd, fighting for the wins. We almost lose the back end through this section. We're now on lap 4, so the tyres are potentially starting to overheat or lose a little bit of grip, especially if we've been touching the walls, because that does impact your tyre wear as well. But overall, a pretty smooth start to the race. We're in P10, so we've got a point to our name. We've got to be careful of those medium runners going a bit longer. We don't want them to get kind of gifted a safety car, because again, that will just drop us right down the order if we pit before a safety car. But now Lewis Hamilton is kind of trying to reserve his batteries. That kind of costs him a position, but he is still on our outside, actually, right up against the wall in that Mercedes. And there's going to be an absolute tight run down into turn 1, but we're going to try and use the battery. It looks like Hamilton's using his battery as well, as he's trying to stay in the game here and just trying to sneak around the outside. We do leave the room on the inside of turn 2, and we're still side by side with the Mercedes, and he's running very close to the wall. How are we going to make this through here? As we do force him to back out in the end. But that was a very kind of nail-biting kind of feeling going through there for sure. But now we're on the fringes of DRS of the rest of the sort of top 8 runners, which obviously we're going to drain our battery to make sure we keep in touch. As now Hamilton's actually dropped behind, as he's been battling with Oscar Piastri is now around the outside of Lance Stroll, proving to the Aston Martin that we still have grip on these softs relative to those mediums. And that was a crucial move for us, really, as we sort of dive down the inside of Sergio Perez. This is all over the shop, this race. I can't get a word in other than what I'm doing and overtaking or defending from other cars around me. But lap 6, the softs I think are still a little bit faster than the mediums, but that's going to change in the next few laps as we're sort of running up towards our pit stop window, which I think is likely to be around lap 9 or 10 as we're down the inside of Russell. His teammate is Hamilton, but down the inside of Russell on this very fast chicane. Our engine is just doing the work for us in this race, because during the DRS zone we can use a bit of battery, use our engine power, and cruise up past, thankfully with the help of slipstream as well. But now we've got P6 in pocket. Perez and Russell are potentially fighting behind. No, they're not. Perez is through on Russell and probably sizing us up for a move as we're trying to size up Sainz for a move. And then, there's a little bit of a gap. I think it's Max Verstappen in third, followed by, behind Alonso in second, who's behind Leclerc in first. Alonso and Leclerc are having an absolutely mighty scrap, whereas we're just trying to make the most of every single bit of DRS. As there we slide past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, and now we've got Lando Norris in our crosshairs, who doesn't have DRS. We've got DRS, Norris doesn't. I think we're going to box this lap as Sainz is looking for a run around the outside of the final corner. We do give him the space because he deserves it. He's right there with us. We're going to hold him back, because if we're pitting this lap, we don't want to be side by side trying to get into the pit lane with a Ferrari-shaped obstacle in between us and the entry. But a pretty tidy kind of entry into the pit lane. Let's hope the team doesn't make any mistakes like it happened in round 1 last week, as it seems like a pretty clean pit stop there onto the mediums. Perez didn't make up some time on us, and Fernando Alonso, who was in second, I believe, is actually a few seconds up the road, but we got massively deep and wide after the pit exit. Just didn't have any heat, any temperature in the tyres to keep us on the circuit. Basically, they just had no grip at all. But now we're being hounded by the Red Bull of Sergio Perez as we're trying to get as close as possible to Fernando Alonso, because that is Piastri's out. I was going to say Alonso is a pretty good marker for where the podium positions are going to be, and Piastri's just there on the left. No yellow flag, surprisingly, but I guess he is out of the way and really away from the racing lines. We make contact with the wall with our right tyres, and you can see here in the bottom right, look at how much tyre wear that added to our right side tyres. We've been on these tyres for 1 lap as we go round the outside of Sergio Perez, turns to the inside for turn 2. We try and run him out wide, but he's still got his wing just next to our car, so we have to give him some sort of space, but he decides to back out of it sensibly enough before this twisty bit of the circuit. Again, this bit is a little bit tricky. If you get your line wrong slightly in one area, it messes with your line for the rest of Sector 1. It's crucial to get the most out of it there, but we're trying at the moment to DRS share with Perez. I don't really want to be behind him in Sector 1, because if he gets his line right and I get it wrong, we are going to lose DRS. But if we're ahead of him, if we get it wrong, he can't get past us anyway. So we're going to look to the outside again. The racing line, potentially down the outside of Perez? No, not quite. Hamilton was looking to the inside, though, as we were trying to keep it smooth and just tucking behind the Red Bull. And now, I think our tyre wear, because we've been hitting the wall, it's just giving everybody around us, they're faster relative to what our speed is, because we've got more tyre wear. As we lose the back end a little bit through the high-speed chicane, Hamilton slides through the inside. That's a very viral, that's the word. It's a very viral kind of clip I could throw in there, but I'm not going to, because it's been overdone massively. And Hamilton just through that corner didn't seem to have the speed that we did. Potentially our downforce is set to a slightly higher amount than that Mercedes, which is why he's so quick in a straight, as we're side by side once again, but in reverse this time from where we were just before the pit stop phase, as we get the job done in the end of turn 2. And now we can try and work with Perez again, as I think Hamilton feels like he's got the pace on ourselves and the Red Bull, and yeah, he probably just wants to be at the front of this train. As we get our line all wrong there, and you can see the time we've lost to Perez. Little by little he's getting away, and Hamilton's right on our gearbox, but again we've got the DRS and Sergio Perez doesn't. So we're going to glide up to the back of Perez, get nice and close through the final corner, put the power down as soon as we dare, and open up that DRS, use a bit of battery, and it should be a very, very clean pass on the Red Bull, but he doesn't seem to want to give it up too easily, and thankfully he gives it up in the end as we lock the rear slightly, but we get away with it on this occasion. Now, you'll have seen I thought about going for a fastest lap attempt, and because I had it in hot lap, safe to say it didn't really work on that occasion. We already had the fastest lap anyway, but yeah, I wanted to try and put a bit of extra daylight or moonlight between myself and the Red Bull, which we've managed to do, as he was scrapping away with the Mercedes team as well. We're on the final lap, so rest assured there's no indicator for our fuel light. We do have enough fuel to finish this race, which is very good to see, and yeah, and have in this round compared to the last round, but a very tidy get it home. We're not going for fastest lap. We are just going to use the battery just to make sure we're safe from the cars behind, because I'm not pushing through the corners at this point. We're gliding home. Looks like we're going to take P4. Max Verstappen, however, is looking for that P2. You can see in the top left the delta between Alonso and Verstappen. Verstappen closed that gap massively after the pit stops, and now he's only 2 tenths behind. Maybe he's going to get him on the line. No, he gets him before the final corner, which is going to give Alonso the DRS up to the line. There's only a tenth separating them, 3 tenths now after the corner. I'm distracted by looking at the delta in the top left. Charles Leclerc comes home to win. Max Verstappen gets second in the end. Alonso P3, and we come home to take P4.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Yes, you will, Mark. It's a much better race this time than last. And it's even better if you click that juicy subscribe button down below. But let's get to Crofty.
And Leclerc to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
King Charles indeed. What a result for Ferrari.
And that's 2 wins in a row now. It's the start of potentially something special, but they can't get ahead of themselves just yet. It's a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Aston Martin are right up there with them, but Ferrari seem to just have the edge on them during the race itself.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand why Sainz didn't want to sign. Good one, me. Why he didn't want to sign with us at the start of the season. Obviously, he knew what Ferrari was cooking up for this year. And, yeah, I mean, Charles Leclerc obviously is outperforming his teammate. But, ultimately, if you want to be in the best car, you got to make sure you don't sign for a team that doesn't have the best car, if that makes sense. But it's going to be a tough battle for those at the top, and hopefully we can get amongst them with some upgrades on the car.
After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Indeed. Let's get into the breakdown. First of all, Charles Leclerc from P2 on the grid takes it away from Fernando Alonso for the win. Obviously, Verstappen and Alonso scrapping out for the podium, the runner-up place, but we come home in P4 with the fastest lap, followed by Russell, Hamilton, Perez, Norris, Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu, Dennis Hauger, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, our teammate, down in P18, Logan Sargent, Pourchaire, Hulkenberg, and Piastri with that DNF for McLaren. Not ideal for them today. They've kind of dropped off a little bit compared to last season, but, you know, what are you going to do? Everyone has their ups and downs. It seems like Ferrari and Aston Martin are up on top, and we are somewhere in the mix, but McLaren seems to be losing out a little bit this season relative to last, and this constructor standing shows it. We're in P5 just ahead of McLaren by 1 point, so it's kind of good that Piastri did DNF this time out, because that gives us the edge on them in the constructors. But the highlights are here for you now. Ignore the kind of graphical glitch with the engine farts that seem to be coming out. I think it's meant to be like the heat trail from the cars that the game's trying to render, but it just occasionally makes it look like the cars are farting. But anyway, ignore me. I've been talking to myself for 20 minutes, and I don't know how you guys manage it if you make it this far in the video. I have to listen to myself, and it's 20 minutes long of just me wishing it was over. But if you guys enjoyed, leave a like so that I know that you can handle my voice for 20 minutes. If you're new around here and you want to see more of these, playlist is on my channel, all of Season 1, all of the setup and everything of Season 1 and Season 2, including last race as well. And yeah, even some of the little challenge videos if that's more your thing. But that's it. Once again, thank you for all the support that you've been giving me through Season 1 and the start of Season 2. It's been great to have you guys on board and enjoying it as well. And yeah, please do subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all the videos. But I'll leave you with the rest of the highlights, and I'll catch you all next week for round 3.